This week on This Week in Our Collective Heads, Patrick solos himself. That phrasing wasn't right.
This week in our collective heads, wanna put an old rumor to bed. Stereotype that you've all heard, how we're all just angry video game nerds. Most of us have actual jobs, kids and families and cats and dogs, yeah. This week in our collective heads, this week in our collective heads.
Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick. I'm alone this weekend due to a lot of weird scheduling stuff going on. Good stuff. So, apologies for that. But you'll have to listen to me vamp solo and say a lot. Anyways. We're going to start off this week like we do every single week. By the way, we're giving you the gaming news like we do every single week. Join us on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. Love our podcast listeners. Keep listening. Tweet to us at TWIOCH and watch us live on Twitch. It's the only place where we are TWIOCH Gaming. Everywhere else, we're TWIOCH. So let's get it started. We're talking about backwards compatible games. That's what we do every single week because we're one of the only places that actually give them to you consistently. Major Nelson did tweet them out, but no one talks about them. Up first, we had Assassin's Creed 3, which is great. Very happy about that. These are backwards compatible. It's not free. Well, this one is, but a fantastic choice for games on that. We also got Shadow Assassins Tenchu. I'm going to butcher this. I know Shinobi, but then you have Ilomilo. I don't know what that means. So let me know if you've played that game on Xbox 360, because it's now backwards compatible, and you can play it again if you did like it. I don't know if you did, because I don't know what it is. We also got Matt Hazard, Bloodbath and Beyond, which was supposed to be a fun game that I never got into. I got this mixed up with the not Bulletstorm, the jumpy claw guy, the Bionic Commando. I don't even remember. I got it mixed up with that and didn't even get to play it. But it's backwards compatible now. I mentioned free games though. Assassin's Creed 3 is free because they gave the games with gold. Those are out now. So the games with gold for this month is Assassin's Creed 3, which is a great pick. We also got Speedrunners for Xbox One. It's a game I'm not familiar with. Smaller studio, and I'm curious to check this out for you guys. We'll be giving you the reviews for all the Xbox and PlayStation games. Again, because no one else does this, we're going to give you those towards the middle of June, hopefully. We also got Dragon Age Origins, which is a fantastic game. So Assassin's Creed 3 and Dragon Age Origins, great picks. I absolutely loved Dragon Age, and I don't know, this one may have not been my favorite, but I really enjoyed these games. I love the storytelling in them, and I love the party systems and loot systems. Very fun. Also got, speaking of fun, we got Watch Dogs. And Watch Dogs is fun, but repetitive, I guess I'd say. It's very ambitious. It was a very ambitious game, and I think giving this for free, again, it's a fantastic offer to do so. This game did not get enough backing behind it in regards to sales. A lot of hype for the game, just didn't quite hit the marks that people were wanting for it. And I'm happy they're giving it to us for free though. It's another one. I did pick this game up quite a while ago, and it's in my log of my backlog. If a game gets cheap enough, I tend to pick it up. I don't know if you guys do that, but if it gets cheap enough and I'm like, okay, well, I do want to play that, I'll pick it up. I played a little bit of this. I didn't complete it, but it's one of those games that when a game is discounted enough, then I'll pick it up. So I picked up the Wolfenstein game, and I did play that one, so that was great. when games hit a certain price point, I feel like that they're more that it's worth my while. And if it's something I'm not really excited about, I don't want to throw $60 on it. If it's something that could be fun, but I may spend 2 or 3 hours on it, I'll spend $10 on that. And I know that's different for some people, but the way I view that is the same as movies. If I go to see a movie and it costs me $10, if I play a game and I spent a couple good hours on it, I think that's reasonable. I think I'm in the minority with that, but if Call of Duty, I think Kevin and I have talked about this quite often. If we had $20 to grab if we could spend $20 and play the Call of Duty story campaign and nothing else, give me multiplayer a la carte after that, I would buy every single one of them, and that's $20 for 6 hours. So again, reasonable. In my opinion, it's like seeing 2 movies, right? Seeing 2 Lord of the Rings movies, if you will. So, we got some other news that came out. In a surprise to no one, Red Dead Redemption 2 has been delayed, and didn't surprise me at all. What is surprising me though is that my video is not working. I apologize for that, but yeah, Red Dead Redemption got delayed till next year, which again, I don't think this is that surprising. It's Rockstar delaying something this big and this ambitious. I don't have a problem with. I don't see a problem with that at all. The first Red Dead was huge. It was great, and for the amount of content that's in here, I'm okay with them delaying. When studios like, Rockstar isn't as bad as Bethesda, but if a studio rushes out a product, either because they're internally trying to rush it out or however it is, there's not only bugs, but it's just not as polished. And I think we're now in a time where companies are trying to give games in a season pass or in an episodic fashion, which can be a good thing, but we see games like Hitman that I believe suffered for that, because when you saw Hitman and you saw that it was going to be episodic, I think a lot of people viewed it as a lesser game. They didn't think that's not a AAA thing, to give an episodic game. That's a $20 season pass kind of thing, like Telltale. No offense to Telltale, but it's not one of those games that you're not going to spend $60 on the Telltale games. That's why they're priced at the point that they are, which is perfect. With Hitman, you had something that was given in an episodic fashion. You could buy the pass, and in doing that, it caused a problem. Why am I ranting about this? Because I'm okay with Red Dead. I'm okay with Red Dead being delayed to not have to do that kind of crap. I want to spend $60 on Red Dead, and I want to enjoy it. And if it's really good, then I'll buy some DLC. The DLC for the first Red Dead was fantastic with Undead Nightmare. So I don't foresee this being a problem. I foresee it as a good thing. I think that they're looking at that saying, this is a big project. We need to take some extra time on this. Let's take our time. Let's get this done right. And push it out. So it is delayed till 2018. Again, I don't have a problem with this. I think it's a very good thing. Another good thing, Games Pass starting. So if you're a gold member, we get it 2 weeks for free, a 2-week trial for free. The Games Pass for everyone else is starting June 1st. There's some really good games that are in there for that. I think there's a lot to be said for the selection. Halo is the big one that they're gonna be touting for a while. There's some other pretty good 360 games in there. There's a handful of like we have Lego Batman, NBA, Payday, BioShock Infinite. There's a lot of great games in here that I think if you missed, this is a great opportunity for a $10 price tag to basically grab any of these games. It's like what's called GameFly. It's like GameFly, except it's immediate, which is amazing. And like I said, the titles are great. Gears of War 3's in there. There's I think this is worth it if you did not get to play these titles, and if you're unsatisfied with Xbox's current selection of exclusives, which is nothing. So that's my opinion on that. I like the Game Pass. I think it's a great idea. I hope that becomes a thing. These are also, if you didn't know, Games Pass, spending $10, you get access to all these different games. Most of Xbox 360 games, all playable on your Xbox One. And they download to your system as opposed to the PlayStation Now. These download to your Xbox. So they download, you don't have to worry about lag from the server on that. So very happy about that. Speaking of Xbox, we also got some news on Beam. So what used to be called Beam is now being rebranded as Mixer. Beam was Xbox's answer to Twitch. They wanted their own system to compete with Twitch. I think it's a stupid idea. So instead of, buying out Twitch, which would be better for Microsoft to do instead of investing all this money in something that's going to flop, Beam has now been rebranded to Mixer. So we did talk about this before. They didn't previously have a mobile component. They're going to have mobile streaming as well, which obviously I think that's a bare minimum right now. You need to be able to stream on your PC, on your mobile phone. I just don't see a reason to get this product. Or not to get this product, to stream on the service. I don't see a reason why people will move to this service. YouTube gaming launched, and majority of gamers did not move. There were some people who tried it out for a little while, but Twitch still is the king. So, Twitch is becoming king for even shows like this, where people can talk and yammer onto the camera like this, and you get to listen to it. Other good news, though, we got Ed McMillan's secret game. He has multiple secret games that he's working on, but he sent out a tweet saying that I also think it's time to officially announce that Rich of Red Letter Media will be doing the voice of a hero in a secret game. If you don't know Rich is from, not Rich from Review Tech USA. I heard some people stupidly misquoting that. Rich is from Red Letter Media, which is a freaking hilarious site. But it's not Mike. And at first I read it, I knew it was Rich, but I was really hoping it was Mike, because Mike's just hilarious. Rich is the original Mr. Plinkett, though, even though Mike is the one who got famous. That's what put Red Letter Media on the map, was the Mr. Plinkett character. Rich is the originator of that character. He came up with that character, and he does it in some of their videos as well, but like Half in the Bag and some of the others. But the main Mr. Plinkett reviews that everyone is familiar with, like Phantom Menace, is actually Mike doing that. And that's actually supposed to be on Steam within the next 6 weeks. That's kind of how they play with these. I think that McMillan's at a point where he knows his fans are hardcore enough. He doesn't have to drum it up that much. He does a little bit, does just enough, but his fans are gonna pick this. People who are in the indie scene are gonna pick this up. So I don't think there's any problem on that, or any negatives, if you will. We also got some news about Bloodstained, which is was a Kickstarter, and one that Kevin and many other people backed. So it turns out that right now it's about 20 to 30% done. Most people are not upset about this. I'm not upset about it. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that we're this far. We're 20 to 30% done, unless there's some huge redesigns and I don't know, maybe level restructuring. But 20 to 30% done is pretty surprising to me. They can kind of go at their own pace, which I understand, but I think there's a lot of people who backed it who may be less patient than some. Honestly, I'm in the same camp as I am about Red Dead Redemption. I can't be a hypocrite about it. if they're going to take more time, if they're taking their time, they're getting it done right, working at that pace, I think, is completely forgivable. This was a Kickstarter, so just hoping that they hit their goals, because some of their goals have specific time, or usually goals on Kickstarter have specific time frames that they have to hit those in. So I hope that they can still hit those if they had one. I have to look at the rewards on that, but I don't think I don't think this is a problem as much as it kind of irritates me. I don't think it's that much of a problem. We got some news on the El Shaddai spiritual successor, which, again, I didn't play. I know Kevin played it and enjoyed it, but the spiritual successor that's coming out is The Lost Child, which I only could find a very brief trailer in Japanese, and I'm excited because of the unique way that they handle properties in regards to how do I say it? Yeah, I don't know a lot about this, but I like the way that they handle the religious aspect of the game, because if I'm not mistaken, and Kevin can correct me because he's in the comments, this is the one that was based on Mormon things. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, though. I mean, again, I didn't get to play this, but I'm glad they're getting a spiritual successor. Yep, I was right. So bastardized Mormon rules. So I like that they took that subject matter. This is a game that I got to play very briefly, but I've seen some people play it. I like that they're taking the subject matter that people don't know a lot about and playing with it. It's one of the reasons I liked Asura's Wrath, playing with the Hindu mythos and in a way that we weren't familiar with. And it's one thing that I'm looking forward to with the new God of War, because if they do it right, you're going to expose a lot of people to some interesting stories and ideas and out of a culture, and exposing that to people who don't know it, which is fantastic. It helps us understand other cultures, even if they're cultures from 1,000 years ago or whenever they're from. I think it's really cool. So I'm happy about that. Another thing I'm happy about, which the internet kind of went a little nuts about, was that Nathan Drake has been cast for the Uncharted movie, and it's Tom Holland. I'll give you a minute if you needed a minute for that, but you don't. It's Tom Holland, and he's going to be playing a young Nathan Drake. The story allegedly for this is going to be set at the flashbacks from, I believe it was Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4 for young Nathan Drake. So I'm completely fine with that. You can see the side-by-side right there. Not a problem. I also like him as an actor. I think that he's doing a lot of great work, and I think he's getting notoriety that he deserved after doing Spider-Man. And I think that he's snarky enough too. I think that he could pull that off, just as long as he doesn't do the voice crack thing. I know he's doing that for Peter and everything, which works so well for Peter Parker. I just don't think that Nathan Drake, even at that age, should waver in his voice. I mean, he basically should. He basically should be very direct, and even if he's unsure of himself, he kind of lies about it. I think that the two of them look close enough alike that it'll work pretty well, especially because Tom plays pretty young. So if they did this when he's like late teens or early 20s, I think it'll work really well. Also, the thing that I like about Tom Holland is his physicality. So his dedication when it came to Spider-Man and other roles, he may not be as strong and buff, which is not what he needs to be, but his body awareness and physicality is amazing. And what I mean by that is watching him as Spider-Man and watching him do behind the scenes stuff for Spider-Man, and as funny as it sounds, the man's an amazing dancer. And you put that together, you have someone who's really going to know how to convey a story with physicality, and he's going to be able to do all the climbing that we want him to do. So I don't have a problem with this. Now, was he my first choice? No, I would have gone with, if we can't get Nolan North, I would have gone with probably Nathan Fillion or someone else and done something in the Uncharted series as opposed to a flashback. But if we want to start here and go up, so think of it as like young Indiana Jones style, I'm completely fine with that. I think he'll do a good job. And speaking of starting really early, other film news is Resident Evil is getting a reboot. The movie series Resident Evil, thankfully, is being rebooted, and some people are upset about it. Mila Jovovich said that it was way too early and it didn't make sense to reboot the series, and I completely disagree. I think that this series went the wrong way very quickly, and I think that when they reboot, they're going to go back to the Resident Evil roots as opposed to crazy superwoman Mila Jovovich, because the movies became very self-indulgent, in my opinion, when it came to the Alice character, and not as much about the horror. In the final chapter, the one that was there, the movie's not scary at all. The zombies don't matter. And the characters don't matter either. Dawn of the Dead is a great example of one where I don't think the zombies are really... Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead, the zombies are part of the background. They're part of the story. But they don't really become a danger until towards the end. It's all about the characters. It's all about the interpersonal relationships and everything that's going on in that situation. And Resident Evil doesn't have that. So you have a zombie movie that has very flimsy characters. Their relationships don't matter as much as maybe a reveal every now and then of someone being a bad guy or betrayal, which doesn't matter if you don't care about the characters. So I'm very happy that they're going to be rebooting this. I would personally like for them to reboot it and go back and tell the story of like Resident Evil 2. I think would be perfect. Resident Evil 1 would be okay, but I think you could start at Resident Evil 2 because Claire Redfield and Leon are Chris Redfield. No, Claire. What's wrong with me? The fact that they're going to the fact that they're going to the mansion, they're going to investigate what happened in Raccoon City. I think that can be a good setup for the movie, as opposed to the weird AI and cloning bit that they went down when it came to Resident Evil, the Resident Evil movies. To answer your question, the plot of the Resident Evil movies is basically non-existent. There's a couple reveals. Someone is trying to do something bad, and that gets undone. The characters should matter, but they don't. The way that they're written is horrible. Their relationships are hardly there. They're one note, if a note at all. The only real character development is Alice learning who she really is, and that's not even handled very well. It's a reason it's a dying franchise, and I'm ready for it to die. I'm ready for them to use that intellectual property in a different way. And speaking of intellectual properties, and on to more gaming stuff, there it is. Lawbreakers. So Lawbreakers, which is the Boss Key Productions game, is coming to PS4 this year. We talked about this game before, and how it is jumping into the the first person hero shooter realm, but in this case there's a lot of Unreal Tournament meets like Rocket League from what I was seeing in the gameplay. It's not just shooting. There's unique map sets, of course, crazy flying as it shows there, but the gameplay that I was watching on this looked like it was more like some of the Overwatch challenges, but more challengey, less battle. Obviously battling is in the game, but I'm glad this is coming to PS4 this year. But I feel like Overwatch has dominated this so well that it's going to be hard for this game to break in. It's not going to be impossible, but it has to be different enough that people will want to play this in addition to or instead of Overwatch. And Overwatch is the big dog. I mean, it's like when any new MMO comes out, the first thing that happens is people from World of Warcraft go over, play a little bit, and then come back if they don't like it. Every now and then one sticks, but that's been the king for so long. There are others that have been around for a long time, sure, but Overwatch right now has the market when it comes to these types of games, and I think it's close enough to Overwatch that a lot of people may dismiss it. I'm very hopeful, though, especially with it being a new IP, I'm hopeful that it'll do well. I just don't want it to flop, and in order to do that, it's got to be marketed right, and it's got to be unique enough that sets it apart from Overwatch. I mean, it may even be something supplemental that Overwatch players play specific maps and challenges on Overwatch may play this. They may not, they don't like the arena style stuff that like Kevin doesn't like, the more just straightforward shooting arena. He prefers the challenges, the challenge maps. I think are more interesting. So depending on how this works, depending on what modes are in the game, this may be something that that a lot of people may move to, or it may flop completely. So we'll see what happens on that. Very unexpected, Counter-Strike got a new update with Operation Hydra, which added some really interesting modes here. There's a heavy assault suit that defuses bombs, but the interesting modes to me were hunter-gatherers. Every player drops a dog tag when they die. You collect them. You try to collect all the dog tags. Another one that I thought was cool was a headshots only. So it's a death match, but body shots don't matter, only headshots. So very difficult. And stab stab zap, which is you've got a knife and a recharging taser, and that's it. Which to me, I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it reminded me of GoldenEye when you go slappers only, because it's ridiculous. I know that now you're using a knife, but there's something to be said when you have to melee up to someone and kind of wildly swing at them. It's hilarious, and I think it's gonna probably be the same thing with this. Counter-Strike's still being played by quite a few people. Again, like we were talking about MMOs, that it may not be the king, but people are playing it. So I think it's kind of cool that these got added. Mod community obviously will always be messing around with stuff. And we also have Flying Scoutsman, so low gravity, and then trigger discipline, which is everyone takes damage for each missed shot. So being extremely precise with every shot is what matters on that. I think it's really cool that a game like this is being supported in this fashion, and a lot of people would not be doing that when it came to an older game like this. So I think it's really cool. It shows that that it's still respected, that people, that the developers still respect that community no matter how old it is. I feel that way about like Diablo. There are people still playing Diablo 3 and Diablo 2, but Diablo 3 came out 7 years ago, and it's a great game, but it's surprising how many people still play that consistently. My brother's been playing it pretty constantly for a couple months now, And I think that it shows, because games like that, they have an interesting half-life, especially with console games. If you are only a console player and you don't have the latest and greatest, then you may not get the game for a while, budget-wise, or maybe you don't. Maybe, like I said, you don't have the Xbox One yet. Maybe you still got the 360. And to be able to play some of these games for cheap, they still have a life in them. They're still good games. So I think it's really cool that the developers are still helping those communities, whether it's a new person jumping in or someone who's been playing it for years. I think it's really cool. Anyways, that's it for the news this week. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of those things, and if you think that if you're surprised if Counter-Strike is still being played. I wasn't surprised by it, but let me know if you were surprised by it. We'll see you later.